Okay, this is part 8 or 9. I'm not sure. I've had a long life, and God, when He told me tell your story, and got all these messages I need to tell my story, um, and it's taken me a while because I've had a um, very interesting life. Um, I've always believed in God. Uh, I tried church, but it wasn't my thing. I wasn't accepted. And so, um, but God has always been by my side. And He has done some miracles in my life that I can't explain. And I, all glory be to God, because I have survived many things that I know it was God by my side and angels. Um, I and I awakened in this last year, and and found out I'd been hidden in plain sight for my whole life. I'm the chosen one, the chosen one. I have a light inside me that that is a catalyst. It affects people around me, and I like to think it affects them in a good way. And those who are ready to um, to accept it and to dig it and enjoy the energy I emit, because it's pretty powerful. Um, uh, but a lot of people didn't like it. Even, and this is from when I was born. I was anointed by God, and He's been by my side my whole life. So um, I got to the part where I finally got sober and clean in Escondido, California, my second time through Serenity House, a women's recovery home, and and then having to leave that home, and then that recovery home, and got an apartment, got a job, and I was staying clean and sober. That was the most important thing, to not drink and use, and then got to know my God personally as my personal Lord and Savior, who uh, you know but I couldn't go to church. I didn't hear what I needed to hear there. It didn't make sense to me because of all the things I had done, and because I had such low self-esteem. I didn't feel important. The only thing that made me feel important were drugs, but then they stopped working, and then sex. You know, um, to be as good as I can be was sexually, so that someone would love me. And so with that kind of attitude, having my own apartment in Escondido, getting to know people at the Ilano Club, it became known, and my reputation was, yeah, I go for Melinda. She's a lot of fun, and yeah, I used people, I used men, and but all in all, I was a good person. I've always been a good person, and I always had a pure heart. My intentions were good. I just fucked up a lot. Um, when I was about 10 months sober, I met met a guy who he was hot. He was good looking, and we got into a situationship. And I think it was like we'd been dating for maybe a month or maybe longer, and I asked him if if he was seeing anybody else. And he's like, no, no, there's been no need to. I like you. I enjoy you. And I was like, and he's like, what about you? And I go, no, not really. And he's like, what's not really, Melinda? And he said, well, a friend of mine, uh, you know, I've been doing him since since I was in Serenity House, and but it doesn't mean anything because he's married, and so there's no risk of me leaving, stop seeing you because of him. And it's just, it was his birthday. He called me, so I didn't have sex with him. I just gave him a blowjob. And all the while I'm explaining this to him the way my mind thinks, he's like, he just has this dumbfounded look on his face, and he goes, you know, number one, I can't believe you told me this, like you went to the store to buy a gallon of milk. And I'm like, what? Why are you getting all mad? He's not, you don't have nothing to worry about. And that's how I had evolved at that time of my life and looked at sex. It was just a commodity. It was it was something that made me feel worthwhile. If I was good enough, they'd stay. And that's, it was just a real sick mentality regarding sex. And so um we kept seeing each other, but it just never worked because of where I was at. I was totally unhealed, um, and I couldn't stop. Sex at that time was an addiction to get me through to. So I had this reputation. I was very popular, and all the women hated me, because I couldn't be trusted, and their boyfriends couldn't be trusted around me. I know now what I've had all my life. It's this magnetism that that is I didn't know it wasn't as intense as it is now, but God, it was a gift from God, that it's magnetism. That Marilyn Monroe had it, Aphrodite had it, Cleopatra, and that's how I was. And so I just didn't know it all my life, and that's why all the sex stuff when I was little was happening. And so anyway, so I just went through, and this guy, he turned out to be my daughter's father, after knowing him 6 years. um, but we just tore each other up. I mean, he wasn't exactly the nicest guy. This one time in a movie theater, when he moved back to LA and where he was from, and I was in San Diego, and I would go up and see him. And in this one time in a movie theater, this is the way he was. He was like, and he made sure we sat down towards the front, and so there were people behind us sitting in their seats, and he asked me to give him a blowjob right there. And my mind was like, it didn't think, why is he asking me to do this? I'm a good girl. No, I was gonna do something, and he was gonna love me because I did it. And I remember I got down on my knees, slithered down, and I was going to town. And then he's like, hey, stop, the guy, some guy's watching us. And that's when it hit me. I think I used to, from when I was little, I used to kind of go out of myself to do things that I knew were wrong. And I remember on the way back to his apartment, I bet you were really shocked I did that. He says, no, you're a fucking whore. You'll do anything I ask. And I was so mad. And that's the kind of the way our relationship was for 6.5 years. I even got married on him once to somebody else. I'm going to go on to part 9.